Hello guys, welcome to another video on the ALS Software Engineering program, and today we'll be looking at the project 0x03 Python data structure list and tuple. The most important thing they want you to understand from this project is how to use the data structure list and tuple. And I'm going to cover some concrete examples that will give you a clear picture of what you need to know, how you're going to make different operations with list and tuple, and the difference between list and tuple. So let me just go to the explanation first. List and tuple, right? They are kind of almost the same thing, okay? But the difference is what? List is a mutable item, while tuple is an immutable item. What does that mean? So it means list can be modified, right? After it has been declared, you can modify it. While for tuple, you cannot modify. You can't add an item and you can't remove an item. But look at the resources they're giving us. Let me open this in a new tab. So you can see they're giving us what? A list. This is an example of what? A list. This is a variable called square and they are assigning a list to it. So let me copy this and go to my VS Code, some explanation. So if I hover my mouse on the variable, you can see it says a variable, name is square, and the type is what? List of integers. So another thing I want you to take note of is list as an index. So the index starts from 0, 0 followed by 1, 2, 3, and so on. Okay, so to access the first item in the list, what we need to do is call the name of the variable, then specify a square bracket and put in the index of the item you want to get. So for example, I want to get the item, the first item. So what I'm going to do is what? Index 0. You can see just like I've told you here, index 0 is the first index. So I'm going to save and run my program. If I run my program and look at my console, I should be able to access the first item. This is this. So if you want to access the second item, all you need to do is it should be 1. Save and run. You can see 4 is the second item in the index. So if you want to access the last item, you can see this is -1. So basically you are actually telling the slice method that the whole item here, give me the last one, which is from the back -1. So if you save and run, it should give us what? The last item, which is 25. Okay, so if you scroll down, right, you can see this is -3 and colon. Let me give a clear explanation on this, right? This is what slicing. Whenever you see a colon in a square bracket after a list, this is what we call slicing. Okay, this is what slicing. Okay, so the way slicing work is you are slicing this item. So when you specify a colon like this without doing anything, it's going to make a copy of that list. So I'm going to run, and you can see we have what? A copy of that list called square. Okay, the same thing. Then there's something very important you need to know here. Okay, so for this, right? So this slicing is just like the range function, right? It has a start. The first value you put here is the start, right? Then the second value you put here is the end. And I'm just using an example. I'm just putting like random number as an example. Then the last item you put here is what? A step. So I want you to take note. So it should be start, end, and what? Step. Okay, so start, end, and step. But however, if you do not specify anything, in the slice, it's going to take the default, right? And the default for the first position is what? 0. And why the default for the second position is the length of what you are slicing. Okay, and the default for the last position is 1 by default. So let me run this. I'm going to put that shortly, but let me just clear my console. Let us run this and see the behavior. So this has just been run, and you can see we have what 1 4 9 16 25, which is it uses the default. Okay, so now let me input the value as a default so that we'll see exactly the same thing. So the first position, right? What did I say is default is 0. We're going to start from in there 0. And the second position is going to be the length of what we are slicing. So I'm going to do the length of square. Then the last position is the step. So for the step, the default is 1. Okay, so I'm going to run this, and you can see we get the same thing. So this is what the default position. So I can specify the step as 2 now, then save and run. Okay, you can see the step now. What it does is it's going to step 2 by 2. You can see it picks 1, then it skips 4, right? It picks what? 9. Then it skips 16 and pick what? 25. So what if I specify is as what? 3? You should already know the answer. I'm going to run. So pick 1, then skip these 2, pick what? 16. There is no other item to pick within the 3-step range. Okay. So one thing I want you to note again is this is the same thing as, let me remove this. Let me remove this. This is the same thing. Okay. So if I run this, you see we should get the same result. You can see we get what? The same result, because it's going to use the default value. I am just putting the default value here to make you understand how it works. So that is some basic example on how slicing work. There are a lot more you can cover with slicing, and you can, it's going to give you like a clear picture. So if you specify -1, it's going to reverse the square list in the reverse order. So let me just run this and see. Okay, I am still slide. Yes, we can see it's reversed. So this is 25, 16, 9, 4, the opposite of the default that we get here. There are a lot more you can learn with slicing. You can actually look at this documentation, and it's going to give you more here. Okay. Okay, so let us look at list and tuple. Okay, so let me rename these as LST, and let me rename these as TP, which is for tuple. Okay, so for tuple, right, I want to specify some item. These are some random numbers. Okay, so for list now, for example, right, I can do LST. I can do new list, new LST. In my new list, so let me put underscore here so that I'll follow the convention. So in my new list, right, I want to concatenate the previous list and the tuple. Okay, and the tuple. So this can be converted to a list, and if I pull the tuple here, you can see I'm going to save that and run. If I run, okay, oh, I was actually not printing anything on the console, so let me print the new list on the console. Save and run again. So you can see I was able to concatenate a list and a tuple. Okay, so we can do the same thing for a tuple. So if I say new TP, this is what new TP, and let me remove this. And for tuple, okay, sorry about that. Let me make sure. Tuple, okay. So I'm going to convert. What I'm doing here is I am converting the list, right, to a tuple. So this is the list, right? So I'm going to convert it to a tuple and print out the result on the console. Okay. So after the conversion, I want you to note something. You can see this is now what? A tuple. This is now what? A what? Tuple. So if I print that on the console, run, you can see we now have what? A tuple. So we can convert a list to a tuple and a tuple to a list. But however, if we try to do something, right? If we try to modify a tuple, so I can see, let me assign the tuple at the first index. Let me assign it to 10. Okay, and print that tuple TP. So if I try to run this program, you can see there's an error. It's a tuple object does not support item assignment. Okay, but if I do that for a list, right? LST and print out the result of LST. If I run that, and you can see I was able to assign the first item in the list, which is 10. The reason for this is list is a mutable list, which means it can be modified, right? Why tuple is an immutable, meaning it cannot be modified. So I want you to take note of this. So ensure you cover these resources down. There are a lot of example they actually play around here. So the next thing I want to go here is the data structure for list. So there are a lot of things we can do with a list. Okay, so let us see some example here. You can see the first one here is what? Append. What append does is it add an item at the end of a list. Okay, so you can see if I append 44 and let me print that list LST. So if I run this program, so let me clear my console and run. So you can see 44 has been to the end of list. It actually does what the name means. So append. So it says append object to the end of a list. All right. So another thing we can do is what? We can extend another list. Okay. So this is also what? Insert. You can also insert an item in the list. We can also do an example of that. So let me do insert. So if I open my mouse on it, you can see insert object before the index. So let me run and let's see what we get. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. I should add an index. So it said insert expected 2 arguments but got 1. So if we see, let me put index 1. Okay, so it need the index for and the object. So let me specify the index. Index 0. Oh, no, let me put index 1. Okay, so I'm going to save and run. And you can see index 1, right? I have inserted 44. You can insert it any of the index. I think we have index 4 here. Okay, let me do index 3. I'm going to save and run. And you can see this is index 3 has been inserted with what? 44. So remove is we want to actually remove an item, and pop remove the last item, and what? Clear does what? It clear the list. Let us see it in action. So if I do list.clear, and let me run this, so you can see the list is now what? Empty. So there are a lot of examples here for you to cover. There's one more important thing I want you to take note of, which is shallow copy and deep copy. I have gotten a resource here which actually does a very good explanation. This is from programmers, right? Shallow and deep copy. So you can see in here, right? We are given a list and we are copying that list. So let me copy this and put it in our VS Code. So we have an old list and we have what? A new list. Okay, so now we are mutating that list, right? So if we mutate that list, the value is going to appear in both of them. And in fact, they're going to have the same ID. Let me clear my console. So let me save and run this so that we'll see. So I want you to note something, right? In the index 2, this is a 2-dimensional array. So in the second array. So if you look at it, this is what 2, the list, right? This is two-dimensional array. So list of 2. So this is what index 0. This is what index 1. And this is what index 2. And in this index 2, right? The item 2, want to replace it with what? 9. So this is what index 0, this is index 1, and this is what index 2. So this value will be replaced with what? 9. That is what is going on here. And if we print the result in the console, you can see that value A has been replaced with 9. But one thing I want you to take note of is if you look at the ID, they are the same. The ID here, they are actually what? The same. The value are also the same. Remember, we're only mutating the value in the new list, not the old one. So, but it's affecting the it also showing up in the original one, which is the old list. Okay. So in this example, we are given the list, and the list is what? Old list. So this list has a 3 item. Okay, so this list, right, it also has a sub list in it, a sub list which is what? A 3 item in it. And we are assigning this list to another list. You can see it here. Okay, then a value in that list was assigned to 9, which is at index 2. Then the value at index 2 of the sublist was assigned to 9. So if we save and run this, you will notice the ID, right? We are printing the ID here. You will notice the ID are what? They are the same. They are the same. But this is what? A shallow copy. Okay. So if we also do this, if we do this, right? If we run this now, let me run this. Good. You will notice something this time, that the ID are actually different from each other, right? But this is still what? A shallow copy. Because when we when we assign the value 9, we are modifying the list, which is the new list, and it's also reflecting on the old list. You can see both of them, right? The 9 value, right? The value 9 which we are assigning to the list is reflecting on both the old and the new list. However, it's been allocated to a different ID. What then is now a deep copy? Okay, to do a deep copy, okay, so we can do a list and old list. Sorry, I think we can do a deep copy of this. I don't know how to get that again, but we can use it from the copy method. I think it's here. Yes, import copy. Import what? Copy. So if I import the copy, and so I can now use the copy, which is copy dot, I think, deep copy. Yes, copy dot deep copy of the old list. Okay, so note here that we are using what? Deep copy, and we are modifying the new list. So if I run, let me clear my console. So if I run this time, I want you to note something, that this time we assign the value 9 to a new list, and it only affect the new list. It did not affect what? The old list. The old list is still having the same previous value, the same initial value. Okay, I believe there is a way we can also do this. I'm just trying. Let me just try to see old list dot deep copy. Deep copy. Okay, I have done this before, but I actually don't know how to do that again. But basically, you've seen example of what a shallow copy and a deep copy. So the takeaway here is, in shallow copy, when you modify any of the item, either the parent or the new item we've copied, is going to affect both the parent and the new item. But in deep copy, when you modify any of the item, it will only affect the item, which is the variable you are actually modifying. So I'm going to share a link to this resource on the console. Ensure you read and cover this. This gives a clear explanation of shallow and deep copy. So thank you very much, guys. I'm going to see you in the quiz section. Welcome to the quiz section, and in this quiz section, the question 0, it says, what does this line print? Okay, so if we look at this, right, in the list, we're assigning an item at index 2, and then we are printing that list. So the value we just assign at index 2 is what? 10. So this is what the correct answer. Okay, so if I scroll to question 1, you see, what does this line print? And you can see here we are making a copy, which is a shallow copy here. We're making a shallow copy and assigning a value to an item at index 2. So if we print the result, so this is a shallow copy, so definitely it's going to have what? The same result. Okay, scroll down to question 2. For question 2, what does this line print? You can see what's going on here. So if we take it from behind, -3, so this should be, I'm going to cut this out. So when you cut this out, what you get is what? This. At question 3, right? So you can see what they're doing here, right? So minus one is what? The last item. So what is the last item? This is what? The last item. Okay. Question 4. For question 4 here, this is our list, and we're making a copy of that list, which is a shallow copy, and we're assigning the value, but we are printing this. So if we print this, if we print B, so we should get this what result, because it's a shallow copy. Question 5. For question 5, right, this is our list, and we are doing slicing here. So we are doing the start point of 1 and the end point at 3. So it's going to start from what? From 2, and it should also end at index 3. So this is what the correct answer. So for question 6, this is our list, and we're going to make a shallow copy here, and we are printing B. So definitely you should give us what? The same thing. For question 7, right, this is our list, and we want to print the item in the first index. So this is the item in the first index. Okay, for question 8, this is the list, and we're appending 5 to the list. After appending 5 to the list, we want to print the length. So the length has increased by 1. It is now what? 5. So for question 9, right, you see, what do this line print? This is the length of our list. So the length is what? This is the length, and the length is 4. So 4 is the correct answer. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. I'll see you in the tax section. Hello, guys, welcome to the tax section. And before working on the tax section, it is important you read the project requirement. So I'm going to pick out some important key points here which we need to follow. This one says all your files must be executed, and a readme.md file at the root of the folder. There is another one which is the prototype of all your function should be included in your list.h. Okay, so let's go to task 1. So the first thing you want to do is to log on to your cloud server. So here I am on my cloud server. I am in the directory, which is the ALX higher level programming. So if you look at the project, the GitHub directory, this is it, ALX higher level programming. And the first thing you want to do is to create what this directory, okay, inside the ALX higher level programming. So if I do LX, you can see these are my previous work. So I'm going to clear mkdir arrow followed by that directory, the new project directory. Now I'm going to cd into the directory. Then the first thing we should do is to create our readme.md file. So I'm going to use my vim command to create my readme.md file. And the readme file should not be empty. So I'm going to add the name of the project in the readme.md file. Okay, and WQ to save. So if I do LX now, you can see we should have what? Only the readme.md file. The next thing we want to do is you need to create the file list.h. So all the prototype of all your files should be included here. So this is the prototype for tag 0. This is the prototype for what? For tags 1. And if you scroll down, this is the prototype for tags 2, and so on and so forth. You need to name that file list.h and include all the prototype. Okay, so I'm going to copy mine. Okay, my internet is a little bit slow and I can hardly type. Sorry about that. Zero x03. Then the list.h. So here is all my prototype. These are all my available prototype. Okay, so I'm going to clear my screen and move ahead. Alright, so the first tag, it says write a function that prints all integer in a list. So they want us to write a solution, which is this 0 dash print list dot integer. So this should be what? The name of the file. Okay, so you can write your solution, but I already have mine. So here is my solution. And the next thing you want to do is to run that file. We've been given a test file here. This is what the test file, and the name of the test file is what 0-main. So what you want to do is to create that test file with this content. So I'm going to create that test file vim using my vim command, and the file name is what? 0-main.py. I for insert, then paste the contents of that file, escape wq. Okay, so if we check now, you can see we now have that file. One of the project requirements is all your file must be executed. And to execute that file, so if I do lx-l, you can see some of the file we created, we don't have execution permission. This one has execution permission. The reason for that is I have worked on this project before. So to have execution permission, you need to use the chmod command. I'm going to use 777 to allow execution. Then the name of the file. Okay, so 0 dash main and 0 dash print. So enter. If I do LX again now, press enter, you can see I now have execution permission for this file. So the next thing we want to do is to what? Execute that file. This is it. So we want to run that file 0 dash main, enter. You can see once you have the same result as this, you should know you've done the right thing. There is one more step. You need to test your file if you will have length error using the PyCode style. Okay, so to test your file, let me clear my console. Remember, we want to test the file we've written, not the example they're giving us. So we want to test this file 0 dash print list. So to test that file, you need to use the PyCode style dash dash shows dash source and dash dash show dash pep8 followed by the name of the file. So if I press enter, there is no error. This basically means my file is okay. And the next thing I want to do is to do my git push and push my file to the cloud. So after you've done your git commit and git push, the next thing you want to do is to use your checker, check your code. And once everything is good, you can see the done will be highlighted. So this is a basic example on how you should follow and resolve all the tasks here. So all right, that is I hope this gives you a clear picture of what you need to do and how you need to do it. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I'll see you in another video.